Does this sound like you? You have been sim racing for a few years, you want to get quicker, but you have a hard time actually getting quicker because you lose the rear or you're getting a lot of understeer. Well, you have started looking into setups, but you don't know where to start. But that's why you click this video, because today I'm going to teach you how to start developing setups. And why I might be the great person for that? Well, I'm actually in that. I've just started doing setups. So I'm going to talk to you about how I started. So let's get into it. So the first thing which you might want to do, or the first thing I did, was read up a lot about setups. So for example, I have a folder down here. So as you can see, all of these are free files I found on the internet, which I downloaded and then printed out. So we have everything from Formula 1 setup guide from like F2004 or something, V-Box updates, you have special ones for GTR2 and for what's it called, you have it for Project Cars 2, iRacing, Richard Burns Rally, some other ones for actual cars, and then one which I think everybody should actually have, which I think is good. So this is one of the, I will talk about the three roughly things which I think everyone new to developing setups should have. This is the Sim Racing Setup Guide by Chris Hay, not Chris Harris, which says if different problems. So if we so you can see here, you have better text, you can see the text. So let's say I have on corner exit, I have oversteer at all speeds. So then it gives me some suggestions. You can soften the rear anti-roll, decrease diff power locking, or soften rear springs, which is interesting. It also talks a lot about on corner exit. If you have lift off oversteer, it's picnic. Problem in chair, not in car. So what I recommend for people to do is to first read a lot about general setups. So you can see I've done. And whilst you're doing it, you can, like I do, you can know what's called mark everything which you think is good. So here we have I marked for right height and rear diffuser. So you want the rear as high of a degree as possible without affecting the car's competitive straight line speed. And that's for the rear wing. And for the right height, you obviously low as possible without adversely affecting plank wear, or in sims which don't have it, without bottoming out so much. So that's the main thing you want to do. You want to gain knowledge. But because this is sim racing and a lot of things are different depending on the sim, means that you want to obviously look into videos about that specific sim. So for I can suggest now, I will suggest a few. So for Automobilista 2, you have Steelcast27. He's a very good YouTuber. For ACC, you obviously have Mr. Aristoteles, who works for Kunos, who develop ACC. So that's a very good website, video channel. iRacing, I'm not so sure of, but you will obviously find a lot there. And then for the other sims, it's just easy to find some videos. But you can also search up setups and guides from people who develop setups, like Coach Dave. They develop setups. You have Jardier, who releases his setups. You have Niels Naujoks, I think he's called, who develops setups. So you have a lot of different varieties for each sim. Then after you have watched the videos, read the documents, and you have gained a bit of knowledge, you want to actually start doing setups. And they might seem a bit boring because it's a lot of trial and error. But here is where number 2 and number 3 of the things I suggest you should have. So let us start off with this website called simracingsetupguide.com. So you will come to here to the home page if it wants to load. Here you can see you have the different shops, so free. And what's good, why I like this was about this, you have this manual, so you can go to like an aero setup guide. It explains a bit about it, and then you can have a few suggestions. But I would say take this with a pinch of salt, because a few of these I wouldn't fully agree with, like this aero setup guide. It can be, I think they focus more about different, maybe like GT3 cars or something, because F1 cars and other aero-based cars, you want to focus on the aero setup more. So in my general rule is the faster a car is generally around the circuit, the more aero dependent it is. And you have to also think about the corners, because the slower a corner is, the more mechanical grip it is. And by that it means less aero. So if you're going like turn 3 at Barcelona, it will be more aero. But if you want to think about the hairpin in Monaco, that's more mechanical grip. So you have slower speed corners are mechanical grip, high speed corners are aerodynamics, and medium speed, I would say, are a mixture of both. And whilst you're here, you can also see the setup, develop, and problem guide. So you can go to develop guide. Let's say weight setup, and I have moving the way, or we go to a different step, maybe we go to toe setup. What's the reaction of the car turning? So if we say we have minor oversteer when turning in, it says you can decrease front toe out. So obviously it says run a few laps to see if the problem is solved, otherwise adjust the setting slightly again or try the next setting in line. So that's what it suggests. So if it's multiple things, you can change. And then it also has a setup problem guide, which I like to use. So let's say I have understeer during corner exit. It says increase front rebound. Or if we have a corner entry at high speeds, you want to reduce front right height or reduce rear wing or increase front wing. So that's good. So that's what I think of this website, that it's a very good website. And you can always ask them a question if you have some issues. And then if we go here, and then we can go to a different thing called, I've already done a video on this, but it's a part of the simulator controller system, which has gained a big update to 5.0, where you changed the code a few weeks ago. But here you can it's a very good in my opinion. So you see automobile, I have the different cars, you have all of the compatible sims, you have all the cars I've recorded with, and all of the circuits with that car. So there you go in here, get a problem with, say, you have general understeer, and you have a lot. If it's not very important, but it's very okay, if it's quite a bit severe, you want to stiffen up you want to loosen the front ARBs. But if it's very severe, you want to change camber. Interesting. So this is very good, I would say. And then also they have an analyzer where you can have the game and you can change the different settings here in here, which are car dependent. And then you can also calibrate it. So first off, it says it there, you get at the circuit, you drive a few slower laps and it goes quite well. Then you have to drive very aggressively over the limit, where you try and induce a lot of understeer and oversteer, so you get quite a lot of, so you get it calibrated correctly. I've had a few issues with the Formula Ultimate Gen 2, but if you just join the guy's Discord, I will link it down below, where you can download and everything, and he's very pleasant to talk with, I should say. I had a few issues setting this software up, but it went quite well. So you have this and you can analyze, but obviously when you're doing setups, you want to keep track of all of your setups. So if you do something, you don't want anything to happen. So here you can see an example of me developing. I can just zoom in a bit so you can see it a bit more clearly. And here you can see I have all of these settings. So I have the Formula Ultimate Gen 2 at Barcelona. Then I have fixed. Then I have what's it called, the changes. So I fixed the tires. I changed the front ARBs and rear ARBs, and here I changed the bump stop range, downforce at the front and rear, and here I have fixed the tires, because you want obviously correct tire temperature across the whole tire. So those are the things I use to help myself. So if we just go through the order again, which I told you was, you start off doing a lot of research and a lot of reading, then you can then you can go into more game specific things. I would recommend, so you know more clearly about different meta setups and different things which are for that sim. So if you read generally, you can go between sims and actually learn, but then if you want to make a very good setup, you have to go to the metas, and you can use the tools I have said. But I have a few comments to say before you go. So I have a few things which I've already learned. So if I do another video, I will have more comments. So at first, fix the tires first. The default setup, you might think, I thought this was me. I thought, well, I don't have to fix the tires. It feels alright. I can diagnose it. You can't. Because I will bring up the example I had. I went around with Barcelona in the Formula Ultimate Gen 2. I made like a 13.5. Then I adjusted the camber a bit more, went to a 13.7, which is okay. Then I went and fixed the tires, and I did a 112.457. I gained over 1 second from just fixing the tires. That just shows the difference tires can make. And then you can go into more detail about the other things which the car does. So focus on the tires first. And my other comment is, don't be afraid to ask questions. So if you are in the trying to make setups in Automobilista 2, you can obviously go to the forum, or you can go where I am in the Steelcast27 Discord and read about and ask a lot of questions there, because I have had some issues with cambering, but I asked Mr. Steelcast, who actually works for them, what he recommends, and I copy pasted everything here, so you can see the comments he made. So you can have here, like for twisty turning tracks, you want more cambering so that as the car rolls from side to side, outside tires flattens out and gets more cornering grip. So that is what I would say. You should ask questions, you shouldn't be afraid to ask, but set up the tires first. And that includes pressure and cambering. Toe and other things you will focus on a bit later. So do more general settings first, and then you can go into the advanced settings. But that's my comments on this setup. What do you think? Comment down below. While you're down there, please hit the subscribe button and also like if you enjoyed the video. My next video could be on setups, more to show the difference between my setup I'm currently working on compared to what the default setup looks like. And then I could also maybe make a video on some older cars to see how they feel, but maybe I should wait on that until V1.5 arrives officially to Automobilista 2. So, my next video will be on the setup I'm currently working on compared to the default setup to show you the times, the handling, the tires, everything. So until then, I've been Racing Legend, you've been my amazing viewers, thank you for watching, good bye!